That's just a little taste of the chapbook he's got coming out. Sure you want to pick that up. Next reader is Terrie Dreyfus, and she's reading for her sister who was unable to be here today, The Beast by Cathrine Castoro in there. It's called Ferry to Dublin. And it's a really long piece, so she's probably just going to read an excerpt from it. Thank you.
That is correct. I'm certain that those of us who are parents have many shared realities, and there's one moment that cuts straight to your soul. It's that second when you glance up to where your child is supposed to be, and they're not there. The Ferry to Dublin is a story about a woman traveling with her 6-year-old daughter on an overnight ferry from Liverpool to Dublin. Without warning, her daughter is missing, and the woman is desperately searching. Next to the lobby and enclosed by glass walls was the playground, kept cleverly positioned so parents could see their children without hearing the noise they made. The playground had been crowded before dinner, but now there were few children, and I looked around fairly easily. I focused and moved quickly. I didn't want to stop to explain to anyone what I was doing. It would take too long. I knew her better than anyone. I would know where she was most likely to go. Calling her name in a sing-song voice, I checked the happy trail tubes, the boxes that connected these tubes, and the little enclosed waiting area at the top of the slide. Sadie! I didn't see her there, so then envisioned her in places on the ship I hadn't looked, trying to determine where to look next. What I saw in my mind frightened me. I could only come to one conclusion: she must have gone outside. She had said she wanted to see what the outside of the ship was like, but it was now dark, and that fact scared me. I recalled seeing a large metal sign by an exterior door near the dining room that read, "Exit to deck." I headed to that door, blocking out everything along the way that wasn't small, blonde, and wearing blue, but nothing fitting that description appeared. Tears began to swell. A tightness grew in my chest and moved up to the back of my eyes, making them sting. It was best to keep my composure, because I had an important job to do. I had to find my daughter. Approaching the door, I now saw a second sign, a small cautionary yellow plaque, and became alarmed upon reading its words: "Limited passenger facilities may be unsuitable for the infirm, disabled, or young." My heart screamed as I reached to push open the door. Bearing against the heavy metal bar that ran horizontally across the door, I heard the deep pitch of its mechanism unlatch. I pushed hard and it resisted. Someone or something restrained it from opening to the outside, and I couldn't imagine what it was. Determined, I gave a firm shove, and with a whoosh, the door broke free of my hands and flew open, banging into the wall behind it. Standing at the door, I recognized the obstruction. The door hadn't been impeded by someone. It was held by something. Belligerent and threatening, the wind showed no mercy and dared me to challenge its hold. What I was up against was fury. Passengers remained unaware that gale-force winds had made the sea violent. The metal vessel concealed the surge from all those inside its belly. But I knew how curious my daughter could be. She was an explorer and extremely stubborn. If she managed to get this door open and were faced with the torrent weather, she would gladly accept the challenge. It was likely that my daughter was now somewhere outside in this rage, and it was up to me to save her. Bracing my shoulders against the wind, I leaned my head forward and pushed into its force to navigate my way to the front of the ship. The gust refused me and tried to shove me back inside. Ahead of me, the deck stretched long and narrow, a narrow passage dividing the metal shelter and the sea. The thrust of the engines raised the bow of the ferry as it ran hard through the ocean. The deck leading to the front tried to tilt me back with its continuous incline, making it difficult to walk upright. As the wind continued to blow heavily against me, I could barely make out this outdoor walkway. The dim glow from the wall fixtures only suggested light. The half railing, a steel tube draped in netting and secured to the floor, was the only protection from the deep water. The scarce lightning created hazy spots on the floor that glistened when the waves disregarded the net barrier. The metal wall offered another handrail, this one safer, and I gripped at it tightly as if it were hanging down from a playground's monkey bar. The ocean spray fired shots at me, and I moved forward, hand over hand, calling out her name, "Sadie!" My daughter was less than half my weight. It was all I could do to keep my footing. I couldn't imagine how she could manage this. The assault kept coming at me, and I knew it came for her too.